Hey everyone, Mully here, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra deck guide. So admittedly, I've kind of spent the last 2 weeks messing around with decks that were pretty much memes, and I've tanked my rank because of it. So the other day I decided to take the gloves off and play something a bit more standard, just to get some LP back. I finally buckled down and decided to play Scouts. Now, this isn't quite the bog standard Scouts list that runs Bilgewater cards for Misfortune and whatever Demacia champion happens to be flavor of the month at the time. This version is actually a Demacia variant that runs Noxus as its second region instead of Bilgewater. And the main reason why is because I finally wanted to give the new champion Riven a shot. Riven is one of the 3 new champions introduced in the new Cosmic Creations expansion. Now, this deck isn't a completely new concept. I've seen other players try to make this style of Scouts work this season so far with Riven and usually Lucian. But I've seen 1 or 2 variants that actually play Quinn. This is just a Noxus take on the typical Scouts deck. Those of you that have been following my content since the early days of Legends of Runeterra might remember this, but this Noxus version reminds me of the Bannerman deck I used to play that splashed Noxus and used Garen with Katarina. It had a similar strategy to Scouts, but instead you would try to rally multiple times in a turn to get multiple attacks off, since Scout didn't exist back in open beta. It was a deck that I got very close to Masters with, but I ended up switching decks to make the final push. So this deck is kind of a throwback for me. But anyway, the game plan of this deck is exactly like Scouts. You want to play units early so you can take control of the board and never give it back to your opponent. The way you build the board advantage is to use challenger units to force trades with your opponent's units that they don't want to make. You'll typically drag weaker units to your stronger challenger units and set up a game state where their units die in combat while yours don't. Just like standard Scout decks, rounds 5 and 6 will be where you hit your power turns by playing your strongest units and where you try to end the game around that time, since your chance of winning after round 6 will start to go down. This is pretty much as close to a classic Demacia mid-range deck as you can get. But let's go over the card choices. First off, we have Cythria of Cloudfield. This was Blade Squire initially, but Squire was a weak unit that couldn't trade with anything relevant, and it was pretty hard to get it to die while getting some trade value out of it. So I switched to Cythria, who is very straightforward, but is performing much better than Blade Squire, especially after she gets a buff from the Grand Plaza or Genevieve. Fleet Feather Tracker. This is the best 1-drop for Scouts, and really almost any Demacia mid-range deck. It has amazing synergy with Brightsteel Protector, because playing this round 1 into a Protector on round 2 gives you a huge board advantage. Against most decks, when that happens, you either get to kill one of your opponent's units for free, or they take 5 damage. Ranger's Resolve. I was running 2 of these, but I cut down to 1 copy to fit Scorched Earth into this deck, which we'll talk about later. 1 copy has felt perfectly fine. You usually don't need this type of effect more than once per game anyway. And it's not a huge deal if you don't draw it, since this is only truly good in pretty specific scenarios. But it's usually not a dead card either. Brightsteel Protector, amazing synergy with Fleet Feather Tracker, like I said earlier. But this is great at protecting your champions from taking lethal damage from your opponent's cards, or just protecting a key challenger unit you need to keep alive to remove a key threat. House Spider. This was Blinding Assault for a bit, and then I put this card in. It's not flashy at all, but sometimes you just need to be able to put down 2 units at once to fight for board control. And it works great with the Grand Plaza as well as Scorched Earth, to a lesser extent. Blinding Assault isn't a bad card at all, but in hindsight, I think it gets quite a bit worse if you're not running Misfortune. Next we have Runeweaver. We're running this only because we're playing Riven. Runeweaver is just here to give us fragments from Reforge so we can level Riven up when the time comes. Once you play her, she's done her job. Sometimes she can trade up with more expensive units that only have 3 health or even 4 health after a Grand Plaza, but don't expect much aside from the Reforge. Sharp Sight, this is a solid pump spell for Demacia. This card has only gotten more crucial with the new elusive decks that are coming back into the meta featuring Zoe. This helps you win trades in addition to giving you some defense against said elusive decks. Single Combat, another one of our defenses against elusives, but this is just standard Demacia removal that's cheap to play. If you're playing Demacia, you're playing this because you're naturally going to have quite a few units in your deck. We've got one Relentless Pursuit. I was also running 2 copies of this before cutting down to 1 to fit Scorched Earth in, because just like Ranger's Resolve, you usually don't need to use this card more than once in a game and don't necessarily need it to win. In a pinch, you can play it to level up Quinn or Riven faster, as long as it doesn't put you at a disadvantage on board. And we come to our first champion, which is Riven. And I do have a lot more to say about Riven than the other cards in this deck. There was a video I did where I talked about Riven and mentioned that there were 2 paths you can take when trying to use Riven in a deck. You can either play her as a support champion that provides cheap spells over time for spell-based decks like Lee Sin, or you can focus on abusing Riven's inherent Reforge ability by generating multiple attack tokens per turn, which is what this type of Scouts deck tries to do. As far as the fragment spells, the best one to get is the quick attack spell, since it lets your challenger units remove opposing units without taking any damage. But I've personally found the +2 power spell more useful than the Overwhelm one, because we're not running the absolute biggest units that Demacia has to offer, so sometimes this deck can get outsized. The +2 power helps our challenger units trade up against bigger threats. Even the Overwhelm one is good, since it also has synergy with challenger. You can target a really small unit while the rest of your Overwhelm damage hits their Nexus, possibly for lethal. This also makes your Runeweaver a lot better, but overall, this one is the weakest of the 3 fragments in this deck, especially since, again, our units are pretty big, but not that big. The one bad thing about running Riven in Scouts is that you often have to develop Riven first before doing any type of Scout attack, which forces you into specific play patterns. But the Grand Plaza also makes you develop first anyway, instead of open attacking, so that quote-unquote weakness that Riven has is somewhat mitigated. But next we've got Scorched Earth. This is a nod to other Demacia decks in this new Cosmic Creations meta, because they're all running the Grand Plaza. But it's pretty nice that this can double as removal against any unit we're having trouble with, as long as we can damage it. We don't have any direct damage spells, unless you count Single Combat. So usually the way we're going to deal damage to whatever we want to get rid of is by chump blocking it or using a small challenger unit. And House Spider is pretty good for chump blocking and combining with Scorched Earth. Aside from that, this also happens to snipe other landmarks like Starspring from Soraka Tahm Kench decks. And next we have the Grand Plaza. Even though this card wasn't quite as good as I hoped in my Lucian Kalista deck, it feels right at home in this deck, and pretty much every other Demacia deck for that matter. This is the best landmark in the game right now, in my opinion, and I doubt it's getting nerfed anytime soon. This card just promotes Demacia's game plan extremely well, taking trades with Challenger that are advantageous to us, where they lose their units, and we don't. Next we have the Grizzled Ranger. This has Scout, which fits the game plan of this particular Demacia deck and helps to level up Quinn and Riven faster. But the real reason this is in here is because Ranger has ridiculously good synergy with the Grand Plaza. This card is already great on its own, and it becomes insane if you already have Plaza in play beforehand. You get to make a Scout attack and challenge something with your 4/2, likely removing it, and if Grizzled Ranger dies, the Badger Bear that comes out of it will also have Challenger and will be a 4/5. So you can challenge something else on your next attack that same round. Basically, Ranger is usually a 2-for-1 if he's buffed by Grand Plaza when he comes down. And now we come to our second champion, which is Quinn. Although Quinn is designed to work in a Scout deck, she is not always the Demacia champion of choice. Like I said before, people are playing Lucian in this slot, running the same regions. I've also seen Garen and Scouts lately, since he works well with Grand Plaza. But I chose to just stick with Quinn. Again, we want to get multiple attack tokens per turn to help trigger Riven's level 1 ability and get her to level up faster. Quinn helps us do that, while also helping herself level up. But Quinn is also quite strong with Grand Plaza, though it is hard to deny Garen's synergy with it at this point. Basically, I chose Quinn for overall better synergy instead of playing Garen or Lucian for their raw power. And finally, we come to Genevieve Elmhart. Genevieve is still a little up in the air for me. I've usually preferred Cytherea the Bold in the past in these types of decks, even when Genevieve was seemingly the better choice, due to Cytherea's higher stats and buffing the stats of your other attackers while giving them fearsome when she attacks. But I stuck with Genevieve for the scout theme, and she also helps both of our champions level up faster. She's been performing well enough. I feel like running this or Cytherea just comes down to personal preference at this point. Even when the meta favors one over the other, they're both very close in power. As far as the mulligans, the mulligan's pretty simple. You're looking for your 1, 2, and 3 mana units. As usual with decks like this, you want to play units onto the board early, and you always want to think about how you're going to play out your first 3 turns with this deck and what board you want to have by round 4. Ideally, you want to curve out by playing a 1 mana unit on round 1, a 2 mana unit on round 2, a 3 mana card on round 3, and hopefully a 4 mana card on round 4. You still may continue to curve out by playing Quinn on round 5 and Genevieve Elmhart on round 6, but there will be games where you're just as likely to start using your spells to protect the units that you played earlier. Grand Plaza typically gets played on round 3 if you went second in the game, and round 4 if you went first. But that's pretty much it for the guide portion of this video. We're going to get ready to jump into some gameplay. If you enjoyed the guide, feel free to hit the like button just below the video. If you don't want to miss future Legends of Runeterra videos, or you've just been enjoying the content that I've been putting out so far, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you're guaranteed to never miss a video from me. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. Enjoy the gameplay coming up, and I'll see you all next time. Okay, Lee Sin. Nope, nope. Going first. Tracker is a bit better. Dies to Gift Giver, but I want to get the Challenger going. Because if I don't play Tracker now, that means I'm not playing it till round 4 potentially. Especially now that I drew House Spider. I think they were hoping I didn't have a 2-drop. Or a Cytherea to trade with this. It's fine. Keep Fleet Feather around in case of Zed. Because they're not gonna... We just keep them off Zed here.
When will I find peace? Violence to end violence.
I guess I'll trade here, maybe. No, I'll chill. Playing around Pale Cascade too, so. And with me being tapped out, I can't afford to just lose my tracker to a Pale Cascade. Like, I need this tracker to actually kill something. No matter what's going on as far as the combat tricks go. Alright. He might respect me.
You will not break me.
Pale is not enough here. That only makes it a 4-5. Be nice if I didn't have to use another sharp sight here though. I don't think there's anything for 3 mana or less though that would actually trade with Riven. Okay. They got Hush out of me. So now I can't play the Cythrias. What do I have, 5 mana here? I think we go wide. We'll play 2/2/2s over the Runeweaver here. We can't level up Riven anyway, so we play both Cythria's attack and then you know.
Do not fear the shrouded path.
For the lost.
I think the +2/+0 was probably the last one he wanted to see. I don't think they have anything for this. Not for Zed. Yeah, it's done. I'd rally behind that. Even though they weren't dead, like, I would probably rally for another 6 and put them to 5. Maybe. Maybe I would wait. Teemo Sej. I guess I'll keep both of these. This is really in case I draw 1, but I didn't.
Reporting in. I'll scout ahead. That's got a sting. I write the rules of power.
It's a quick attack. Good, I need to save the mana here.
Swiftly.
I'll skip here.
What's a warrior but hands to wield a weapon? The heart and mind to aim its strike.
Thermo? Yep.
I failed.
Can't spend more than 3 mana here. I need to single combat this Teemo.
I've got your back.
I got ways to find me mushroom.
And they're not gonna have anything significant here.
Desjardins.
Excuse you.
Press on. I'll write my own story.
Single combat this.
I did my best.
You sure did, Teemo. You sure did. That's a good draw.
Who goes there?
My shield is yours.
Grand Plaza. They can't aftershock. It's a nice thing. definitely gonna play. Okay.
Blessed by snow and stars.
I mean, they can't attack, so.
Follow my lead.
Definitely gonna hit the Starlit Seer with Genevieve. Hopefully it's good enough.
Their pride will cost them.
Okay. That kind of hurts.
This will be a good winter.
I won't back down.
Excuse me. Oh man. Oh well.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Once I stamp papers, now faces.
I think we'll go ahead and double fragment here.
It sings to me.
We have sharp sight. All right, we got there. Nice. I'll try and keep it around.
Hold nothing back. Protect and strike.
We see through all.
They run Elixir of Iron, so I'm not I don't know. She kinda loses her thing. Well, I think this is fine. I don't think I'm getting a better opportunity.
I'm sorry.
They must have a Puff Cap Peddler in hand. Or not. They don't have anything. They just have spells. Okay, yep. They have nothing but spells.
My duty's done.
They are hoping to draw a unit. Oh, Grizzled. The reason why is because like I could have passed and then just attacked with both units, but if they have removal for the 3/1, then I don't have lethal anymore, so I needed to play Grizzled Ranger there. Okay, Spider, Riven, Ranger. I'm okay with this. Yeah. It looks like another curve out game. We just hope it's good enough. That's all we can do. That is all we can do. Spoders. The Spoders. They usually also play Spoders. Let's see if they have them. Really? That's interesting. I'm like, can I not pet this thing? It's kind of rude. Not gonna lie.
When will I find peace?
Someday, Riven. Someday you will find peace. Okay, bro. Please, bro.
Violence to end violence.
Literally setting up the static shock. Right in front of my face. Like, okay, bro. You can do that, I guess. If you pass here...
Put on me mask, secure me tail, start the day.
Alright, let's mess some folks up.
Alright, I'm playing Quinn. I don't know about you,
Me and my
but I'm playing Quinn.
Him is the boss. You best start running.
So you can look for static shock if you want. My board is still pretty good. Although I guess the best targets will be Riven and Valor. They will be the best targets.
Time to get rowdy.
Since we know they're the best targets, let's just do this then. And I'm gonna give Quinn quick attack. For sure.
Here we go.
House Spoder again. We haven't seen Draven or Ez. Straight out of the sump. Okay. I should protect Riven here. Yeah.
shield is yours.
Let's protect Riven. We can flip her next turn. I would have 7 mana next turn if I decide to Grizzled Ranger here. Okay. That's cool. I think we don't go for single combat here, even though it looks really juicy. I think we kind of chill.
Slow down, will you?
Come on, you big grouch.
This means I'm not playing Genevieve next turn. Well, I might, maybe. But then I don't get to flip Riven if I do. Because I don't have enough mana. That's hilarious. Oh, I think we still do Riven. We still do Riven here.
Fly to them on broken wings. Even shattered hearts mend in time.
I suppose.
I suppose. Maybe Genevieve was better here. Maybe I'm being like... Maybe I'm playing with my opponent too much. But no, I really wanted to flip Riven. It'll be interesting to see if this was actually the better play. Okay, well, we can't protect... we have no way of protecting her, so... We'll just... do this so that way we at least deny them the unit. Yep, flock. Do I kill my own mans? Oh god. I mean, they're easily gonna have the, what do you call it, right? There's no way they wouldn't have something to kill. They haven't played Mystic Shot at all. I don't even think they've played Get Excited. They've played 2 Thermal Beams, that's it. Genevieve was starting to look better and better here. Starting to look real nice. I could try and go wide. Yeah. I'll give it a shot. We'll try and go wide. Let's max out our board space. And then I think we're gonna overwhelm the 3-2. Or maybe even Riven. I might just overwhelm Riven here. I don't know. It's hard to say. It would force them to block this with the 5-4. Yeah, I think we go for it. Because that Riven's kind of dangerous. If they don't have the Mystic Shot. Riven's kind of dangerous.
Excuse you.
Looks like they have the Mystic Shot. Yeah, they do. Or a flock. Second flock. Mystic Shot seems more likely though, especially since that came from the left side of their hand. They've been holding it all game. Or the right side of their hand, I meant to say. I forgot, it's the opposite of Hearthstone. It is indeed the opposite of Hearthstone. Alright, flock. Second flock.
I failed.
Alright. Ez is up.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
What else you got, bro? Come on, bro.
They don't know what they're up against. I thought you'd never ask.
They would kill a 2-2 here. Trying to decide if it's worth buffing my squad versus just open attacking. I can Genevieve now and then open attack next turn, but then my squad is smaller. I think I'd rather wait and then use the buff next turn and then attack. I think I'd rather do that. I'll probably block with a 1-1 if they come in with the chump one. Wow. They're not even gonna... That's crazy. You're not even gonna use your Mystic Shot. That's insane, bro. Okay.
I'll defend these forests to the end.
Good luck, bro. Okay. Fine. I guess we can Blade of the Exile. I could have actually given this to Genevieve and just hooked the 1-1. I should have done that. Oh, is he flocking? He might flock here. Yeah, I probably should have gave it to Genevieve, not the bear. I did it because the bear had more health, but Genevieve had Challenger. So, and we had Ranger's Resolve.